So we use the solar systems on our warehousing. So we barely ever pay electricity. The only downfall to that is that when we do pay electricity, because we have the meters we have to buy, then we pay massive penalties because of that. So sometimes we would then only actually buy electricity once every 6 months and pay between 5,000 to 7,000 Rand as a penalty before we can actually purchase electricity, which I find quite ridiculous, but that's the only downfall. But we've got battery systems as a backup. So even when we have cloudy days for 2 or 3 days, we still have enough electricity. But we are also turning that warehouse into a factory now. So that will also change because of the cold rooms and the machinery that we'll have inside. But it's worth the investment. We also have it at our house. We barely buy electricity here. So it pays off quite quickly. I think we paid off our home within 2 years of what we would have paid Eskom.
Oh, wow. That's quite a...
Yeah. I think that the big thing, Romri, is in general for the public is people don't understand the numbers and they don't know how to work it out. So if you know that you use, for example, 1,000 Rand electricity a week and you're paying that much in taxes and in penalties or whatever, or not penalties, but like a fee to Eskom, you need to actually go work that out compared to what it would cost if you have the solar. And unfortunately, solar is a big investment in the beginning, but if you go work it out, they can actually, you know, like you guys can actually work it out as to saying, oh, in 2 years or in 3 years or in 5 years, you can actually pay it off. And then you have it forever. It's something that people just need to like grasp. And then if they have the funds available, they'll be able to do it.
I think that's where I'm stuck. It's grasping those numbers. It's exactly that.
Yeah, maybe they should actually like, I think they should create like a calculator so that people can put in that I'm currently paying 4,000 a month for my electricity. This is how much I also use, because that's also the thing. My husband has I don't have it in the office now, but we have a little meter that we can move around in the house that actually shows us how much power we use. And it's funny because he's quite adamant looking at it, and then he'll stand in the house and go, all of a sudden we're using stuff, you know, and then it's because you've got the kettle going and the washing machine and you've got something else. And in all respect to everybody, we waste a lot of electricity. If you don't walk with your bucket to go fetch, you know, a kilometer away electricity or water, you won't actually understand it until you see it. But if you see that meter going up and you're like, oh my goodness, we shouldn't boil the kettle with a whole full, you know, container of water, you should only boil the, you know, the cup or whatever. It makes small differences, and that's where the actual savings come in as well.
Wow, thank you for sharing. That was really helpful. Thank you. Vishay, you wanted to add something?
I think, Nicolene, thank you for sharing. And yes, it does make business sense for installing these systems. I'm glad that you mentioned a very important point, is if you do not measure it, you cannot control it. And it gives you an insight and awareness in terms of what you utilize and ways of how you can use it more efficiently. I think a very important point is you mentioned the calculator. So we will be launching in April a calculator for our home loans clients where they can put in their utility account and it will tell them what size of system that will work for them and give them an estimated cost in terms of what they can expect. On the business side, it's a bit more technical, but we have the tools in-house and we're happy to engage with clients to take them through those numbers. Generally, we see a payback for commercial and industrial clients around 4.5 to 5 years. And like you've mentioned, you know, these systems can generate in excess of 20 years. So you've got close to 15 to 20 years of free electricity. A very important point that I think I've missed out in terms of when I was explaining is that businesses can benefit from the tax rebate that's available. It used to be 28% of the cost of the installation. However, it's now, I think as of April, it's going to drop by a percentage, which is going to be 27%. So 27% tax rebate of the cost of the installation is quite a good benefit for clients that are considering this. Apart from the fact that you can claim the VAT back of this equipment as well, or assets, which is close to 42% by just installing the system.
Sorry, I just wanted to add something. If Vishay, they have maybe connections with Eskom. I know in other countries, when it comes to solar panels, in some of our other places that we own, you actually get a rebate. The government buys the electricity from you, which is something that's not happening in South Africa. And this will actually force people to get solar, because then they can, and, you know, if your grid is full, you're giving back to the grid, which is something South Africa needs so badly. But for some reason, they're not offering people that facility. And I think if that could be something that they eventually bring in, more and more people will be willing to get solar for their home or their business, because you're generating electricity all the time. Like on a summer's day, by lunchtime, our grid is full, like our batteries are full, everything's full to keep us alive. I want to say like literally for another day. So I could be pushing my electricity back into South Africa's grid and helping 2 or 3 other families, but they're not paying us or even giving you that option to do that. And I think that's something that we really need to get some friends in the right places to assist us with that.